starting temperature is 18.1 degrees, 18.1. And the starting mileage is 49246, 49246. Hey YouTube, it's gentlemansnine. Yeah, my apologies for a lot of my videos kind of looking the same here, but I commute only a couple different directions and you're gonna see a lot of the same since this is a commute. Anyways, like many of you or some of you, we have Netflix, so we stream a lot of apparently old movies and TV shows. But the thing I've been watching lately is Hotel Impossible. We also been watching Restaurant Impossible. So if you didn't know what the premise is, let's just stay with Hotel Impossible, but the same applies to Restaurant Impossible. Basically, there's some hotel that's might have been doing financially well in the past, but today it's not doing so well, and they're on the verge of potentially closing. So they call up Hotel Impossible and ask them to come out and help them. And of course, it's a TV show, so you know what the things they have to do is, you know, make it dramatic and all this other stuff. So the guy that's on there, his name is Anthony something. He's very blunt. So when he says there's a problem, he doesn't. He's not nice about it. He doesn't talk like in all the previous vids that I just talked about communicating nicely and all that stuff. He's basically, he'll just say something like, "Is this clean? Why is that?" It's because you failed. Not because somebody forgot it. You failed. You know, he's talking right to the owner or the general manager. So he's pretty blunt, and a lot of times people get quite emotional. So on one point of view, there he is being very blunt, and he is not necessarily being the nicest way when he communicates. But at the same time, if these owners were listening to what he was trying to say, it's like, look, the things that worked for you in the past, you know, 20, 30, 40 years, they worked in the past, but as time progresses, things change, and the owners need to change as well. So there's been the couple episodes I just watched the other day. There's some hotel that's right along the beach, and they're hardly getting any visitors, and it's because of a couple reasons. One, they don't allow you to reserve a room online. You can't reserve a room online. Excuse me. They also don't accept credit card. They also require that you pay in cash up front before you stay. So I mean, these are just crazy rules. So you know, maybe people go there the first time, but after they find out they have to pay everything in cash up front, they're not gonna come back. And you know, the owners are adamant that this is the right process, this is what works, and it saves them money. And this Anthony person, the host of the show, says, no, it's not, it's losing you money, right? Because if somebody doesn't want to come back, you've just lost that money. So I think it's kind of... So the reason why I mentioned that show is because I think even in today's business world, leaders have to change. You have to be able to admit that maybe what worked for you in the past might not be working for you today or even into the future, because some environmental change, some general change in the workforce, something has changed, and you have to be able to adapt. And if you can't adapt, you will fail. So I can't remember who told me once, but people in leadership at big companies, they need to change their position. I think they said like every 5 to 7 years or something. You can't be in there for a decade. If you're in there for a decade, you probably did really well, somewhere in the 2 to 5 year mark. But at some point, your leadership, if your leadership doesn't adjust to the changing times, especially in the IT field, you need to move on. And so while I'm talking about the IT field, it probably applies to many fields. Honk, Come on, man. You have to be able to change. So, just to use something out of my history, the company I worked for prior to my current job, I was the director of IT, and it was for a small healthcare staffing company who did franchising. So in other words, they started out doing healthcare staffing, and they franchised that business model. And so I came in, and I was only there for just under 3 years. And I guess they had sort of struggled trying to get to 40 locations around the U.S. And by the time I left, I think they're at 220 or 240, depending on how you want to count active locations. But I mean, that's huge growth. So what, 500-600% growth in less than 3 years. So that's pretty good, right? But I'm going to be the first one to tell you right now that I might have been the person that took them from 40 to 200. But I am not the person that's going to take them to 500-600 locations. That's just not me. My area of focus is, I don't know how you want to call it, coming in and fixing problems, obviously making things better. But I'll be honest with you, my first thought isn't long-term vision. When I say long-term, I'm talking like 10-year vision. That's not me. My focus is more on immediate day-to-day, looking at data from the past and projecting out maybe 2 or 3 years. That's really my area of focus. And I'll be the first one to tell you. So if somebody says, hey, I want to promote you to VP or something, or CTIO, or CTO, whatever, XYZ, whatever C title you want, I'm going to be the first one to say, look, you can look at my credentials and I did really well in the past, but I'm going to tell you right now, that is not where my area of strength is. The C level positions, even the VP level positions, that's not me, because while I'm sure I can do it, I wouldn't feel happy doing it. And if I'm going to work at a place, I want to be happy doing what I like to do. So how many of yourselves, or how many places where you work, where you look at your leadership or your management, how many of them would be willing to say the same thing? To admit where their strengths and weaknesses are, and to focus in on their strengths instead of looking at the dollar bill, you know, that title, that amount of money that they could potentially make. You know, my last job, you know, I made pretty decent money. At least I thought it was pretty decent money. But at the same time, I was working a lot of hours, and at least during my time frame that I was there, I believe I was doing well. But it was definitely a stretch for what I want to do in a job. And a lot of that, so just to be more specific, I had to do a lot more, I want to call it public motivational speaking. You know, addressing whether it's the IT group or the entire company about how awesome we're doing or whatever. Yeah, I did it. I guess, so what I'm told, it sounded good. It's just, that's not what I like doing. So, anyways, I don't know if any of this makes sense to you guys. Sometimes you have to know your strengths, you have to know your weaknesses, and focus on your strengths instead of focusing on the mighty dollar bill. All right, that's all I got. That's got to be plenty long, right? All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.